So, today we're diving into the story of one of India's most complicated public figures, Achyuta Samanta. Now, this is a man who's been celebrated all over the world. A true humanitarian, right? He's educated tens of thousands of kids from poverty, all for free. But at the very same time, he's caught in this massive storm. We're talking about a student's tragic death, some really serious allegations about land grabbing, and a whole lot of political drama. So the big question is, how can both of these things be true for the same person? Let's unpack it all and see what the sources tell us.
All right, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the two totally different images people have of Samanta. Then, we'll get into the story that made him famous in the first place, the architect of hope narrative. After that, things take a turn. We'll cover the tragic event that really started the crisis, dig into the accusations that came out, and then wrap things up by looking at some cold, hard numbers to see what they might reveal.
Okay, let's jump right in with the core issue here, the central paradox. Because really, depending on who you talk to or what article you read, you get two completely different pictures of Achyuta Samanta. It's pretty wild.
So, on one hand, you hear words like visionary, humanitarian, a genuine educator who's pulled thousands of people out of poverty. But then, on the other hand, the descriptions are, well, they're the complete opposite. Controversial, negligent, a powerful guy who's now under investigation. Our job here is to really dig into where both of these stories are coming from.
So, to really get this, we have to start with the first narrative, the one that made him a household name. This is that classic, almost unbelievable rags to riches story of a man who fought his way out of extreme poverty to become this world-renowned social entrepreneur.
I mean, when you read about his early life, it's just a story of incredible hardship. He was born into severe poverty. His father died when he was only 4 years old, leaving his mom to raise 7 kids all by herself. His childhood was basically a daily fight for survival. And yet, somehow, from that beginning, he goes on to build these two massive institutions, KIIT and KISS. And that journey eventually takes him all the way to the Indian parliament. It's an amazing story.
And this number? This is really at the core of his origin story. Just 5,000 rupees. That's it. That's what he started his entire educational empire with. It was a bank loan, according to the Indian Express. Think about that. From that tiny seed, he grew these two gigantic institutions.
The scale of what he's built today is just staggering. His institute, KISS, that's the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences. It gives free education, a place to live, food, healthcare, the whole shebang, to over 80,000 indigenous children. It's actually recognized as the biggest institution of its kind anywhere in the world.
And you better believe his work has gotten noticed. He has more than 55 honorary doctorates from universities all around the world. According to One India, that's the most for any Indian, ever. So this is the image we're talking about, right? A globally celebrated absolute titan of humanitarian work. But it wasn't just about the sheer numbers, the scale of it all, that got him all this praise. It was also about the really unique educational philosophy he built at KISS.
They call the KISS model holistic education. And the idea isn't just about hitting the books and getting good grades. As a research paper on this explains, it's about nurturing every single part of a child's life. We're talking physical, psychological, emotional, all of it. The real goal is to break that cycle of poverty, once and for all. And when you look at the actual programs they run, you can really see this holistic approach in action. They teach in native tribal languages to help preserve culture, which is huge. But at the same time, they're partnering with the US State Department for English programs, and even with major companies like Tata for job training. It's this mix of respecting tradition while providing modern skills that makes the model so acclaimed. And this quote from the man himself, it just perfectly sums up his public image. He says, "I struggled for food the first 25 years of my life. Now my struggle is to feed and educate millions." It really frames everything he does as a direct answer to his own suffering as a child. It's an incredibly powerful story. But that story was about to face a major challenge. And this is where the entire narrative takes a sharp turn. We're shifting away from this incredible story of success and inspiration and into a tragic event that threw Samanta and everything he'd built into a massive crisis. It happened on February 16th. A 20-year-old student who was from Nepal was found dead in her hostel room on the KIT campus. The police ruled it a suicide, and they even arrested another student for encouraging it. But the incident itself, and more importantly, how the university handled it, just ignited instant outrage. The fallout from this was just immense.
The Indian Express reported that this wasn't just some campus tragedy. No, this blew up into a full-on diplomatic crisis between two countries, India and Nepal, and it severely dented that perfect image of a social entrepreneur that Samanta had spent decades building. It's like this event just opened the floodgates. All of a sudden, there was this intense scrutiny, and it created this powerful counterstory, one that was filled with some really serious accusations against Samanta and his entire administration. And the controversy grew fast, way beyond just the student's death. Pretty soon, three main criticisms started to take shape. First, people accused the university of completely mishandling the crisis, which led to huge student protests. Second, some old allegations about illegal land grabbing came bubbling back to the surface. And third, people started asking if Samanta was using his political power as a member of parliament to just ignore official orders.
So let's zoom in on that land issue for a second. According to reporting from Jules of Odisha, a state agency had sent KIIT multiple notices, basically telling them to tear down unauthorized structures they'd built on public property. But the reports claim that the university just ignored them.
And right in the middle of all this, another number started getting a lot of attention: Samanta's personal wealth. In his 2024 election filing, he declared his total assets were just over 71 lakh rupees. Now, when you think about it, that's a pretty modest amount for a guy who's in charge of a multi-billion rupee educational empire, right?
Okay, that brings us to our final piece of the puzzle. We're going to step back from all the stories and accusations for a minute and just look at the financial data, the hard numbers behind the institutions at the very heart of this whole thing. So, what you're seeing here is the cover of the official financial audit for KIIT from 2019-20. This gives us a real, factual, no-nonsense look at the massive operation we've been talking about. So, let's actually break these numbers down. As of March 2020, KIIT had total assets of almost 21 billion rupees. That's about $250 million US. And in that 1 year, the university made a surplus, basically a profit, of over 900 million rupees. This isn't just a school, It's a massive financial machine. So we're left with the big question: who is Achyuta Samanta? Is he the humanitarian hero who started with just 5,000 rupees and a dream to change the world for poor kids? Or is he a powerful man whose billion-dollar empire is starting to crack under the pressure of a tragedy and some very serious allegations? The truth is, the sources we've looked at today don't give us one easy answer. They paint two completely different pictures that just don't seem to fit together. And it leaves you wondering, can someone be both? A saint and a sinner? A builder of dreams and a figure of controversy all at the very same time?